A hand comes down. Not a fist. That would have almost been easier to watch. What comes down is a grip. Controlled. Deliberate. Landing on the collar of a 9-year-old boy who just dropped his lunchbox in a school parking lane in Gangnam. The lunchbox made a sound. Plastic on asphalt. Small. Ordinary. The sound of a kid being a kid. The grip says something different. The grip says, nothing about you gets to be ordinary. Pick it up. Don't embarrass me again. The boy's name is Yi Jun. 9 years old. His hands find that lunchbox before the sentence even finishes. Fast. Practiced. The kind of fast you only get from doing this over. And over. And over. He doesn't cry. He doesn't flinch the way a kid flinches when something surprises them. He flinches the way a kid flinches when the body already knows what's coming and stopped, a long time ago, wasting energy hoping it won't. Every adult in that parking lane is looking somewhere else. A mother near the gate. Suddenly very busy on her phone. A crossing guard. Suddenly very interested in traffic 3 blocks down. A parking attendant, orange vest, walking toward the car to ask it to move. Stops walking. Studies the pavement. Because some men, you just don't walk toward. His name is Tae-sung. And one woman, 20 feet away, mop bucket on wheels, 3 hours left on shift. Doesn't know that name. Doesn't know what it means in 3 districts of Seoul. She knows one thing. She's seen that flinch before. And the last time she saw it. She looked away. She got off at her stop. She found out 3 days later what looking away cost. She is not doing that again. Her feet move. Not a decision. A completion. She stops between Tae-sung and his son. Looks up at a man whose eyes have the flat, settled look of someone who decided a long time ago that consequences happen to other people. And she says it. No raised voice. No performance. Hit your son one more time. I promise you'll pay for it. 5 seconds. Maybe 6. Tae-sung looks at her, not angry, not yet, something closer to recalculating. And one of his men shifts his weight, hand drifting toward his jacket. And Tae-sung lifts 2 fingers. Just 2. The hand stops. Tae-sung reaches past her. Opens the door himself. Puts Yi Jun inside. Looks at her one more time. Nothing in his face you could name. Gets in. The car leaves. She stands there. 3 seconds before she remembers she's supposed to be breathing. Okay. If your heart is already going right now, good. Because this is the part of the story where it gets harder before it gets better. A woman just threatened the most feared man in 3 districts of Seoul. And he just let her. You need to know why. Stay with me. Welcome to Afro-Korean Love Empire. If you love emotional Afro-Korean mafia romance stories, the kind filled with danger, forbidden love, powerful men, brave black women, and love that has to survive real pain, subscribe right now so you don't miss the next one. Stay with me, because what this cleaner just did in that parking lot will change a child's life, break open a mafia boss's heart, and start a love story neither of them saw coming. Somewhere across the city. A different building. A different kind of man hears about the parking lot. Before Tae-sung's car even reaches Songbuk-dong. His name is Seo Jun. He doesn't say anything for a long moment. Then he asks one question. Did he hurt her? The woman. No, sir. Did he have her followed? No, sir. He just let her walk. Seo Jun is quiet again. Longer this time. Because a man like Tae-sung doesn't let anything. Not without a reason. And Seo Jun has spent 4 years. Waiting for Tae-sung to have a reason again. He files it away. Doesn't act yet. Just watches the shape of it start to form. By that night, Tae-sung knew everything about her. Her name. Her shift schedule. The apartment in Itaewon. The money she sent home to Kumasi every 3rd Friday, same amount, same account, every time. Everything. And he hadn't touched her. That was the part nobody in his organization could make sense of. A woman with no connections. No protection. No last name that opened a single door in this city. Walks up to him. Says what nobody else in 4 years has dared to say. And he raises 2 fingers and walks away. His men don't understand it. Jun Seo doesn't understand it. Not yet. Why? Why does a man like Tae-sung, a man who's ended careers, buried problems, made entire families disappear from a city without a single police report, let a stranger walk away from him without consequence? You're going to want to keep watching. Because the answer is the answer to everything that happens next. His son. But you have to go back first. Just for a minute. Then we come right back to her. Incheon. 23 years ago. A 16-year-old. Skinny. Fast. Already doing the thing most people take decades to learn, reading a room before the room knows it's being read. Tae-sung didn't choose this life. This life chose the parts of him nobody else wanted. An older man noticed him doing security for a card table behind a chicken shop. Said one sentence. You're smarter than this corner. Come up. He came up. 11 years. Watching everything. Saying almost nothing. Becoming useful in small ways before anyone trusted him with bigger ones. By 32 he wasn't running a block. He owned the thing that owned the block. He'd learned something early. The most dangerous man in a room isn't the one holding the weapon. It's the one who already owns the room and hasn't bothered telling anyone yet. This is the man who, 23 years later, raised 2 fingers in a parking lot and let a stranger walk away from him without a single consequence. Hold on to that. Because the reason matters more than you think right now. Then Ji-yeon happened. A pediatric nurse. Met him at a wedding. The way people from completely different worlds always somehow find each other. Briefly. In someone else's celebration. She wasn't naive about who he was. Seoul has a way of telling you which names carry weight. She'd heard his. She just wasn't impressed by it. And she definitely. This is the part he never told anyone. She was not afraid of him. Not performing bravery. Genuinely. Structurally. Unafraid. She looked at him. The same way she looked at everyone else. Like he was just a person. Not a name. Not a reputation. Just a person. He'd spent 15 years perfecting the effect he had on people. She was completely immune to it. Not out of defiance. Out of indifference to the thing he'd built. He didn't know what to do with that. He'd never met it before. They married 18 months later. Yi-jun came 2 years after. 4 years. 4 years of a kitchen he actually came home to. A kid who heard the elevator and ran. A woman who'd hold his face sometimes. No reason, no occasion. And say. You don't have to perform for me. Not here. He didn't know what to do with that either. So he just stayed. And for a while. The only while in his whole life that's ever really counted. That was enough. It wasn't an accident. Ji-yeon's taxi got hit on the Mapo Bridge on a Tuesday night. She'd called him at 11:07. Said she was almost home. Said Yi-jun left a drawing on the table he absolutely had to see. She sounded warm. Tired. Like herself. The call ended at 11:09. The hospital called at 11:24. A man named Seo Jun, rival, at the time, running a competing network across 2 districts. Wanted to send a message. Not to kill. Not at first. Just to show Tae-sung the wall around his private life. Had a gap in it. The car that hit her wasn't a stranger's mistake. It was a man paid to be there. At that time. On that road. The investigation went nowhere. It always goes nowhere when the right files get made difficult. Tae-sung found out who ordered it 6 weeks after the funeral. What happened to those people? That's a different story. What's part of this story? Is what happened to him. He sealed shut. Not just angry. Sealed. The way a wound heals wrong when nobody tends it properly. From the outside in. closing over everything. That should have been cleaned out first. He started talking to Yi Jun. The way he talked to men who owed him money. Short sentences. No softness. No room for anything to slip through. He told himself it was strength. Yi Jun was 5. He stopped drawing for a year. Stopped asking for bedtime stories. Stopped running to the door. Taesung noticed. Told himself it was grief. Told himself the boy would adjust. He wasn't lying to himself. He was just wrong. The specific way grief makes almost everyone wrong. Convinced that surviving the pain is the same thing as managing it. It's not. Not even close. Across the city. A one-room apartment 6 blocks from 81RO. Smells like fried garlic from downstairs. Window faces a wall. But a good lock. And she knows her neighbor's schedules. The nurse who leaves at 6:15. The couple who fight Tuesdays, quiet by Thursday. That combination. A lock and information. That's home. For a woman who learned to build safety. Out of knowing things. Not having things. Rebecca Mensah. 34. From Kumasi, Ghana. A nursing program she couldn't finish funding. A younger brother named Kofi who died at 19. On a road nobody official took seriously enough to investigate properly. And 4 years in Seoul. She did not spend complaining about how hard Seoul was. Even on the days it was very hard indeed. 2 cleaning contracts. Office towers in Uedo, mornings. Hanguk Jile Elementary, 3 afternoons a week. Money home, 3rd Friday. Same amount. Same account. Logged in a notebook she keeps with the discipline of someone who understands the notebook is also somehow an act of love. She's been stared at on the subway more times than she counts anymore. Had her Korean corrected. By people whose Korean was worse than hers. Asked, twice in 1 year. If she was, one of the African ones. People meaning it as something other than geography. She's not fragile about it. She's also not pretending it isn't there. She just moves through this city. The way you move through a place. That wasn't built with you in mind. Alert. Precise. Unbothered by what she can't change. There's one rule. One rule she's never broken since Kofi died. She does not look away from a child who needs someone to look at them. She looked away once. A minibus in Kumasi. 8 years ago. A man gripping a boy's arm. The kind of grip that announces itself. Even from across a crowded vehicle. She told herself it wasn't her place. She told herself she didn't know the whole story. She got off at her stop. She found out 3 days later. The boy was his stepson. The arm had been the least of it. She stood in her kitchen. Stayed still for a long time. And at Kofi's grave, not long after. Whined through the acacia trees. Her mother's hand on her shoulder. She made herself a promise. Didn't say it out loud. Didn't need to. The next time. The next time she had the chance. To stand between a child and whatever was coming. She would stand. No matter who was on the other side. No matter the math. 8 years. She has not broken that promise once. Not even in a parking lot in Gangnam. Facing a man whose car cost more than 2 years of her salary. Now you understand all of it. So watch it again. Yi Jun drops the lunchbox. Small sound. Ordinary sound. Taesung's hand on the collar. Pick it up. Don't embarrass me again. Rebecca doesn't think. There's no thought. There's Kofi. There's a minibus. There's 8 years of a promise made to acacia trees and a grave in Kumasi. Her feet move. She crosses the lane. She says it. Hit your son one more time. I promise you'll pay for it. Taesung looks at her. Recalculates. Raises 2 fingers. The hand near the jacket stops. He opens the door himself. Puts Yi Jun inside. Looks at her once more. Nothing readable on his face. Gets in. Gone. 3 seconds before she remembers to breathe. By evening, Jun Seo. 15 years of service, never asked twice for anything. Has a folder on the passenger seat. Rebecca Mensah. 34. Visa current. No criminal record. Not even a parking citation. No debts. No family in country. Remittances, consistent. Same Friday. Same amount. Every month. Like clockwork. There is nothing in this folder. That's the most important thing about it. Nothing to use. Nothing to threaten. Nothing to pull. A man whose entire world runs on leverage. Just discovered. He has no lever. Taesung reads it twice. Kitchen counter. 11 p.m. Yi-jun asleep down the hall. Closes it. Doesn't open it again. Calls Jun Seo. Find her shift schedule at the school. Half-second pause. And then. That's all. He shows up 3 days later. Tells the school he wants to discuss Yi-jun's assessment results. Not exactly a lie. Not exactly the truth either. Finds the hallway she works. She comes around the corner with a mop handle. Stops. 8 feet away. Same suit. Hands folded. Waiting. Mr. Kong. Not warm. Not hostile. The tone of a woman who's already decided. She isn't performing fear for this. Rebecca Mensah. I know my own name. A beat. I came to apologize. The words move through his mouth. Like something he hasn't used in a long time. For yesterday. What you saw won't happen again. She studies him. Longer than's comfortable for most people. I'll believe that when I see it. Not because you told me. She picks up the bucket. Walks past him. Doesn't look back. He stands in that hallway alone. For a moment longer than it needs. Something in his jaw. Usually clenched tight enough to leave a mark. Goes loose. 3 days after that. A letter. No sender name. The Songbukdong address says enough. Private household position. 3 times what she earns now. She almost throws it away. Then she thinks about Yi-jun's hands. How fast they found that lunchbox. How his shoulders never quite dropped back down. Didn't return to normal. Because for him, the threat never fully passes. It's just the air he breathes. She takes the offer. Not the salary. Not the housing. Not him. For a 9-year-old. Who flinches like he's been practicing since he was 5. The house in Songbukdong is the kind of place that ends up in magazines. Quiet luxury. Glass walls. Dark oak floors that amplify every silence. A kitchen that produces perfect meals. From a cook nobody talks to directly. Rules in this house nobody wrote down. Everyone knows them anyway. Yi-jun's toys. Lined up in a perfect row. Not played with. Arranged. The geometry of a kid. Who needs the world predictable? Because the unpredictable parts tend to come from his father's direction. A drawing inside his wardrobe door. Almost hidden. 3 figures. The tallest one has something drawn around her head. Looks like the photo on the hall table downstairs. A staff member who apologizes. Before every single sentence. A boy who waits. To be told it's okay. To sit at his own kitchen table. Rebecca takes it all in. Says nothing yet. Learns the shape of the damage. The way you learn a dark room. Slowly. By what you keep running into. She doesn't push. Day 1. Rice porridge. No announcement. No instruction. He eats every bite. Says nothing. She counts that as a win. Day 3. 11 p.m. He's standing in the hallway. Not crying. Not walking. Just standing. She sits on the floor against the wall. I can't sleep sometimes either. I usually just sit for a bit. 9 minutes. Then bed. Day 7. She reads to him. He picks the book. Korean folk stories. Spine retaped twice. She gets 3 pages in. He's asleep before the 4th. Day 10. A drawing on the table. No address. Just left there. A bowl of porridge. Steam. A small figure beside it. She puts it on the fridge. Taesung comes home. Stands in front of that fridge for 30 seconds. Goes to his study. Doesn't come out till midnight. They don't talk much at first. He nods in the hallway. She nods back. Once. 1 a.m. He finds her awake. Small notebook. Doesn't explain it. He doesn't ask. They share that kitchen for 40 seconds. He gets water. Leaves. She notices the cabinet latch in her room gets fixed. Nobody mentions it. She notices a driver appears outside her Itaewon building. Nobody discusses it. She notices the coffee stops having sugar in it. After she mentioned, once, in passing, that she doesn't take sugar. Small things. Or, not only small things. The gestures of a man who's run on leverage his whole adult life. Trying to learn a completely different language. Noticing without announcing. She files all of it. Doesn't act on any of it. She's there for Yi-jun. That's the line. She holds it. Both hands. 3 weeks in. Saturday morning. Yi-jun draws at the table while she makes eggs. A house. 3 figures. Rebecca in the middle. Himself, close, touching her shoulder. His father. Far edge of the page. Near the door. Outside the house. Not in. He leaves it. Goes to watch TV. She's still looking at it when Taesung walks in. Coat still on. He looks at her face. Then the table. Picks it up. Stands there a long time. Long enough the eggs go cold. Then. Quiet. Not to her. To the room. She used to draw with him. Ji-yun. Every Sunday morning. 2 hours on that floor. I'd watch from the doorway. A pause. I was always watching from the doorway. Rebecca lets the silence sit. Then, plainly. He didn't put you outside to punish you, Mr. Kong. He put you there because that's where you've been. The door's right there. Nobody's keeping you on that side but you. Nobody has said something that true to him. In 4 years. He doesn't answer. Takes his coat to his room. That night. 8:30. For the first time. Longer than Yi-jun can remember. His father knocks. Can I come in? Seo-jun's been watching since week 1. He's not louder than Taesung. He's sharper. In one specific way. He understands men like Taesung. Don't fall to outside force. That just gives them something to push against. They fall when something goes soft. At exactly the wrong moment. When they've stopped expecting the attack. From that direction. He sees the drawing on the fridge. Drone footage. Child's art on a fridge. That hasn't had any in 2 years. He sees Rebecca's building in a driver's log. He sees Yi-jun near the school gate. Shoulders different. Lower. Looser. And he understands something. Taesung's own men haven't put into words yet. She isn't his weakness because he wants her. She's his weakness. Because she's turning him back into a man. Who has something to lose. A man with something to lose. Is a man with a pressure point. And Seo-jun. Has spent his entire life. Knowing exactly where to press. He doesn't move yet. He just decides. He's going to. He starts quiet. A note under her door. 3 words. Know your place. Then smaller things. Groceries, every item spoiled. A tire that goes flat at exactly the wrong moment. A man on the subway who stands too close. Gets off at her stop. Walks 3 blocks her direction. Before peeling off. Not accidents. Architecture. He's building the feeling of a city closing in. He knows how it works. A woman who feels unsafe enough doesn't need telling to leave. She removes herself. Takes the problem with her. Rebecca notices every piece of it. Tells Taesung none of it. Tells Juneseo. Because she's learned. He handles things the way she handles things. Quiet. Complete. Before it needs to get loud. He's already building his own file. 15 days in. Quietly. Thursday evening. Yi-jun had a bad day. Not dramatic. Quieter. A teacher raised her voice. Hit something old in him. The whole day came apart from there. Taesung comes home to a closed door. Rebecca in the hallway. Glass of water. Waiting. What happened? She tells him. Go in, she says. He doesn't want. Go in anyway. Not to fix it. Just to be there. That's all he needs. What if I say the wrong thing? Then you say the wrong thing. Then you say sorry. Then you try again tomorrow. That's the whole process. There's no other version. He's quiet. She says the thing she's been holding. Mr. Kong. Your wife spent her career making children feel safe. And then she was gone. And you became the thing she'd have fought against. Not because you're a bad father. Because grief did exactly what grief does. Sealed you so tight. You couldn't feel his pain either. She wouldn't want this for him. I think you know that. I think that's what you can't live with. The hallway is very quiet. He puts his hand on the door. Opens it. Goes inside. An hour and 40 minutes later. Eyes red. Says nothing to Rebecca. She asks nothing. Next morning, Yi-jun sits at breakfast. Beside his father. Not across. Beside. First time in 2 years. For one morning. Everything in that house is exactly right. It will not stay that way. Rebecca's apartment burns Friday night. She's not in it. Stayed late at the house. Yi-jun's school project ran long. Call comes at 11:14. The building survives. Her room doesn't. The notebook. The photos of Kofi. The originals, not copies. Her mother's perfume. Gone. All of it. She sits in Taesung's kitchen. Midnight. Hands flat on the table. Not crying. Still. The same stillness Yi-jun used to use. Taesung doesn't say it'll be okay. Doesn't offer money. Just sits. I know who did this, he says. I know, she says. A pause. Are you safe? She looks at her hands. I was in your house when it happened. Kofi died because nobody stood between him and what was coming. I'm not running. But I need to know. If I stay. You handle this the right way. Not your old way. What's the difference? The difference, she says. Is one leaves Yi-jun with a father. And one doesn't. Morning after the fire. Juneseo lays out the file. Hasn't slept. Doesn't look like it. Surveillance footage, 2 buildings down her street. The shell account for the groceries, traced. The arson report, accelerant pattern, 2 points of entry, no electrical explanation. 3 intermediary accounts converging on one source. 2 witnesses willing to talk before they change their minds. Not a body count. A case. Built right. The kind that holds. Taesung reads it twice, standing. Closes it. Get the lawyers. And the right detective. Already arranged, Juneseo says. No hesitation. Wait. Before we go any further. You need to know something. Taesung has a choice in front of him right now. That he has never once made in 20 years. The old version of him. Handles this with his own hands. Quiet. Permanent. Nobody ever finds the body. The new version. The one Rebecca spent months building, one bowl of porridge at a time. Has to choose something slower. Something that costs him control. Which version wins? That's what the next part of this story decides. If you want to see it, and trust me, you want to see it. And if you haven't subscribed to Afro-Korean Love Empire yet, this is the moment. Because what happens next changes everything about who this man becomes. Let's go. The case moves faster than Seo Jun planned for. That's the risk of being strategic. It works until someone across the table is more strategic. Arson lands first. Then fraud. Then the intimidation chain, time-stamped. Then witnesses, 2 from his own network, who'd been quietly deciding for a while. They weren't loyal to a man who used children and grieving women as leverage. The arrest happens in a hotel lobby. 3 associates watching. A camera at the right angle. Taesung isn't there. He's at Yi Jun's school. Chair too small for him. No cufflinks. No tie pin. The suit a parent wears, not an operator. Watches his son point to a drawing. A house. Everyone inside at this time. This is my family. 7 months later. The courtroom is smaller than people expect. Wood paneling. A judge who's already read everything twice. Seo Jun stands when his name is called. Doesn't look at Taesung, sitting 3 rows back. Doesn't look at anyone. The charges read out, one after another. Arson. Fraud. Conspiracy to intimidate. The financial trail. 2 former associates' testimony, given freely, on record. The judge doesn't raise her voice. Doesn't need to. 22 years. That's it. That's the whole sentence. Both meanings of the word. Seo Jun doesn't react. Or maybe he does and it's just too small to see from 3 rows back. Taesung watches them take him out the side door. No handcuffs visible from this angle. Doesn't matter. He's not coming back for a long, long time. Taesung doesn't feel the thing he expected to feel. Not triumph. Not relief, exactly. Just quiet. The specific quiet of something finally being closed. The right way. The way Ji-yeon would have wanted it closed. Not with blood. With a verdict. He walks outside. Calls Rebecca. It's done, he says. I know, she says. Jun Seo already told me. I wanted to be the one to tell you. A pause on the line. Okay, she says. Then you told me. The change in Taesung doesn't happen in one scene. That's the point. It happens through accumulation. He learns Yi Jun likes eggs scrambled soft. He learns to knock and wait. He learns to say sorry when his tone is wrong. More often than he'd like. And to come back the next day. Without making the apology about himself. He takes Yi Jun to the Han River. A kite the boy picked himself. Doesn't check his phone once. Leaves paper and pencils on the table every night. Because he's learned. Drawing is how his son thinks. Sits outside the door 3 times. Before he figures out how to just go in. 4th time. The door opens before he knocks. Appa. Just that. Just, father. The word lands in his chest. Like something held in escrow for years. Finally coming back to the person it belongs to. He kneels. Eye level. I'm here, he says. In Korean. Quiet. I'm not going anywhere. The moment Rebecca knows. It isn't dramatic. No music. No weather. A Sunday. Yi Jun asleep. Taesung in the kitchen, making the juk again. Wrong twice already. 3rd attempt on the stove. Her instructions on the counter. Korean. With little phonetic English in the margins. For the parts he wasn't sure of. He's squinting at her handwriting. Like a man who hasn't had to read instructions. For anything. In 15 years. She watches from the doorway. Feels the thing she'd built a wall around not feeling. After Kofi. After everything Seoul cost her to survive in. She lets herself feel it anyway. 3 weeks after the verdict. A Saturday. Yi-jun's at a friend's house, first sleepover he's ever asked to go to himself. Taesung asks Rebecca to walk with him. Not the garden. The Han River. The same spot they flew the kite. He stops. Doesn't say anything for a second too long. I rehearsed this, he says. 3 times. In the car. I sounded ridiculous. She almost laughs. Doesn't. Waits. I'm not good at asking for things, he says. I've spent my whole life either taking what I wanted or building it myself. I don't know the right words for this. He reaches into his coat. Not a box. Not yet. A small velvet pouch. His hands aren't steady. Taesung's hands. Not steady. My grandmother's ring, he says. It's not, it's old. It's not flashy. I thought about buying something new. Something that looked like what I am. And then I thought. No. You didn't fall for what I am. He gets down on one knee. By the river. No staff watching. No driver waiting at a distance. Just him. Rebecca Mensah. You told me the truth. When nobody else would. You stayed. When staying cost you something. You earned this family. Before I even knew how to ask you to be part of it. I'm asking now. Marry me. She's quiet. Long enough that a boat passes on the river behind them. You said I wasn't done earning, he says, quieter. I know. I know I'm still not. But I wanted to ask anyway. Because some things. You don't wait until you're perfect to ask for them. You ask. And then you keep earning it. Every day after. Rebecca looks at him. At a man kneeling on a riverbank. Who once raised 2 fingers. And stopped a man's hand. Without raising his voice. At a man who learned to make porridge wrong. 3 times. Just to get it right. For a boy who isn't even his by blood. And is entirely his by everything that matters. Yes, she says. Just that. No speech. No hesitation. Yes. He doesn't move for a second. Like the word needs a moment to actually land. Then he stands. And she's laughing now. Really laughing. And he's holding her face the way Ji-yeon used to hold his. And somewhere on the other side of the city. A 9-year-old boy is asleep at his first sleepover. Having absolutely no idea. That his family just got bigger. In the best possible way. 2 years after that. A baby girl in the house in Songbukdong. Taesung holds her the way a man holds something. Where the stakes are the highest they've ever been. And he knows it. Her name is Jian. First character from Ji-yeon. Second meaning, peace. Yi-jun named her. Stood in the nursery doorway. Serious. The way he gets when something matters. I think Yama would like it. If the baby had part of her name. So she doesn't feel left out. Rebecca looked at Taesung. Taesung looked at his son. Crossed the room. Knelt down. Hand on Yi-jun's shoulder. Not directing. Just resting there. Perfect, he said. That's exactly right. Rebecca didn't walk into that parking lot to save anyone. She walked in because of a promise. A grave in Kumasi. 8 years before any of this. A promise that the next time. She would stand. She didn't know she was also standing. Between a man and the last version of himself. Worth saving. Taesung didn't become a good father. Because someone loved him into it. He became one. Because someone told him the truth. And stayed. While he figured out what to do with it. Yi-jun drew his father inside the house. That was all. That was everything. Some stories end with justice. Some end with revenge. This one ends with a man on one knee by a river. Hands shaking. Asking for something. He used to think he could only take. It ends with a boy. Who no longer flinches. When someone he loves walks through the door. If this story found you somewhere real, drop GN in the comments. That's our word today. And if there's someone in your life who stood for you once, tell me who. I read every single one. Which part of the country are you watching from? I love knowing who's in the room with me. Like this if you believe love is something you earn. Subscribe to Afro-Korean Love Empire. We'll see you in the next one.